Hey, what's up, everybody? What's going on? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today is an interesting daf. It's daf lag of Masechta Shabbis. Daf Lamed Gimel, daf 33. Why is it significant that it's daf lag of Masechta Shabbis? Who can tell me? Who could tell me? Because this is the daf that talks about Lag BaOmer. Although, I guess it talks about the story of Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai when he hid away in the cave. So, although it doesn't actually say anything about Lag BaOmer. I don't know why that's connected to Lag BaOmer. Anybody know? But in any event, famously, daf lag of Masechta Shabbos is the Lag BaOmer daf. However, before you get too excited, we have about 3/4 of a daf of continuation of yesterday to get through first. So sort of the Lag BaOmer story is kind of your reward for pushing forward through all this discussions of more stuff about why stuff happens, followed by the Lag BaOmer story. So let's get started and talk about why things happen. We're going to start on the bottom of Lev, Lamed Beis of Masechta Shabbos, all the way at the bottom of Lamed Beis, well, almost all the way at the bottom, 3 lines from the bottom, by the 2 dots, Ba'avon Gezel, on account of the sin of theft, Hagovai Ola, so like certain kinds of like locusts come, Ve'arav Hova, and that causes famine, because while the locusts are feasting, they don't leave much for the humans to enjoy. And then the people are left with no choice but to eat their children. Yikes. Shenemar, as the pasuk says, Shimu adavar zeh paros habashon. Listen to this thing, O cows of the Bashan, Asher bar Shomron, that's in the mountains of Shomron, Ha'oshkos Dalim, who sort of like, do bad to the lowly people, Arotzitzos of Yonim, and like break the, what was the word? I forgot it, I think yesterday also, destitute people. Amar Rava, and Rava explains, Kigon Hane Nashe de Mechoza. Okay, it's like these women who live in his city of Mechoza, the Achlan V'lo Avdan, that they just eat and they don't have to work. So their husbands work and then they don't work. So they are like these, a metaphor for these cows in the Bashan that they just like eat all the time, and that's it. Okay. Fine. And Rashi says, De'ochlan v'lovdan v'nimtza shegozlos es ba'alein, that they're kind of like stealing from their husbands, I guess. Ve'od, and he says, mitoch she milumados b'maychol v'mishte gormos levalim ligzom, because they like, need to, they sort of get used to a certain lifestyle of partying and good food and drinks. So then what ends up happening is that their husbands feel that they need to steal from people in order to be able to support all this eating and drinking. So that is that. Now it's interesting that Rava, Rava often, I don't know, sometimes he quotes his place of Mechoza, and it seems to have been a somewhat well-off community. We've talked about, like in Masechta Brachos, about like these porridges of Mechoza. They had a lot of like honey in it, as opposed to like the villages, they would have more like flour. Or, we talked about earlier about how the clothing of the people in Mechoza was sort of nicer clothing. They didn't have to necessarily just wear clothing that was specifically geared to farming. And now we're seeing also that they also enjoyed a nicer lifestyle, that they had access to more food and drink and stuff. Okay, what does it say? And I will smite you with like, what are those things called? Typhoons and stuff, and rotting, harbos, seichem, v'karmechem, usenechem, v'zeisechem, yochal agazim. And these locusts will eat your gardens and vineyards and figs and olives. Uchsiv, it also says, Yeser agazam achal arbe, that whatever is left over from the gazam well, then will be eaten by these other kinds of locusts. Right? It says basically you can get all sorts of locusts that are going to eat up everything. Vayigzor al yamin v'ra'ev v'yochal al small v'lo saveu. It's talking about these people are just going to kind of like gonna keep on eating and not be satisfied. Ish b'sar zoro yochelu, and then they're gonna end up eating the flesh of their children. Al tikre b'sar zoro ella b'sar zaro. Oh no, I'm sorry. So everyone's gonna start eating their own arms. They're gonna start eating their own flesh. But the Gemara suggests that maybe don't say that they're gonna eat their own flesh. Maybe it means that they're gonna eat not the flesh of zro of his arm, but the flesh of zaro, his children. Yikes. Okay, basically, if you steal, it's bad. On account of the sin of inoyadin is basically when you just prolong a judgment. You already know like what it's going to be, but you just like drag it out. V'ivusadin is just like, just messing up the din and just making it be dishonest. V'kilkuladin is when you're not patient enough and you don't give enough time to make sure that you're actually doing things right. V'til Torah is like not studying Torah properly. Okay, cherev uviza rava. So then swords and looting becomes very rampant. Uvidever uvatzores ba, and also pestilence, people dying off. Oh, there's my neighbors announcing that they are awake. Yeah, you guys hear that? They're very noisy windows. All right. Anyways, good morning to you. So then pestilence and famine comes, uvnei adam ochlin, and then people are eating ve'enan sivein, but they aren't satisfied. V'ochlin lachman b'mishkal. Then they have to eat their bread and weigh out exactly how much they're eating, to make sure that they don't eat too much. Dichsev, as it says, ve'vesi aleichem cherev nokemes nekam bris v'gomra. I'll bring upon you the sword that will avenge the nekam bris, ve'in bris ela Torah, and bris is Torah. Shenemar imlo brisi yomim v'layla. If not my covenant of day and night, and Rashi points out Laila being v'agisa bo yomim v'layla, a reference to the Torah that you shall study day and night. And it says b'shivri lachem mate lechem, right? And it says that when I will break for you your source of bread, v'afu eser nashim v'gomer, that 10 women will bake bread and have to divide it up, into little portions. Yan uvyan uvmishpatai ma'asu, and it's because they were mo'es, they sort of disgusted my mishpatim. So that's like all these different types of problems with judgment. So we see that if there are issues with judging and also with bittul Torah, then all these bad things happen. But when shvuas shav ushvuas sheker, when it comes to oaths that are false, so if you like, as Rashi points out, if you make an oath, if you swear that a man is a woman, well, that's just a lie. Ushvuas sheker, and shvuas sheker is something that's actually believable, and then it causes people to do bad things because they actually believe your lie. V'chilul Hashem, and making a chilul Hashem, as Rashi points out, it's a pretty sort of classic definition of making a chilul Hashem. It's when somebody, a great person who you look up to, and he says, what does he say? An adam gadosh b'nei adam lemeidim imenu, a great person that people learn from, and then he's not careful about his actions, and then people see that this person's actually a nudnik. So then they say, wow, if this guy, look at this person who we put all of our trust in, and we thought he was a great person, and he's just a nudnik, so it kind of cheapens everything that he once stood for. I assume that's sort of the right? So Rashi then says, right, so it shows she'ein mamish b'torah v'mitzvos, that there's no real relevance to Torah and mitzvos. V'nimtza Hashem mischal na'aseh dvar of chulin. Then it turns out that the name of God becomes chulin, becomes defamed. Defamed? Disgraced? Defaced. Okay. V'chilul Shabbis, and also chilul Shabbis, chaya ra'a rava, so then wild animals come. Uvehema kaleh, and the animals die. Uvnei adam mismatin, and then the people become few. V'hadrachim mishtomimin, and all the roads become desolate. Shneamar v'im ba'ele lo tivasru al tikri ba'ele ela be'Allah. Right? It says, if in these you will not take musar, you will not take rebuke, don't read it in these, rather, don't read it be'ele, rather read it be'Allah, on account of vows, of oaths. Uchsev, and it says, Vishlachti bochem es chayas hasadeh v'gomer, I will send in you I will send upon you the beasts of the field. Uchsev b'shvuas sheker, and it says by false oaths. V'lo sishavu b'shmi lashaker. V'chilalta es shem elokecha, and it says by false oaths that do not swear in my name falsely for a lie, and you will desecrate the name of your God. And it says by Chil Hashem v'lo sechal Hashem kachi u'v'chil Shabbos ksev mechaleleh amos yumas v'yalav chilu chilu mishvuas shaker. Right, so basically it says by Chil Shabbos and by Chil Hashem, it says the lashon of chilu, and it also says the lashon of chilu by shvuas shav, and therefore by shvuas sheker, and therefore any of the ramifications of shvuas sheker, like wild animals coming and things like that, will come to you if you are mechal Shabbos, mechal Hashem, things like that. Bavun shvichus damim, on account of the sin of murder, Beis Hamikdash chariv u'shchina mistalekes miYisrael. So the Beis Hamikdash will be destroyed, and the divine presence will be removed from Israel. Shnei Amar, as the pasuk says, v'lo sachnifu v'gomer, do not desecrate my or do evil in my land. V'lo sitami es haaretz, and don't make impure the land asher atem yoshrim ba, that you are sitting in it. Asher ani shochim b'socha, that I dwell in it. Atem mitamim osa, but if you're mitame this land, einchem yoshvim ba, you won't dwell in it. Ve'eni shochim b'socha, I will not, and I will not dwell in it. Okay, very exciting stuff. And that pasuk is talking about murder. It's talking about like your miklat and stuff like that. Ba'avun gili arayos, when it comes from the sin of gili arayos, forbidden relationships, ba'avodas kochavim, and doing avodah zarah, ba'ashmatas shmitin, and skipping shmita, right? Not following the laws of shmita, v'yovlos, and also yovel, which was the 50th year, right? Shmita is every 7 years, and then after 49 years, the 50th year will be yovel. I think it's actually machlokas if it's the 50th year or if it's the 49th year. Okay. So then galus bal olam, on that account, so then exile comes to the world. Then we exile them, and then others come and sit in their place. Shneimar, as the pasuk says, because all of these to'evos, this is in the context of the arayos. It says all these things the people before you did. Batitma aretz, I think, and the land became tamei, and I remembered its sin upon it. Uchsev, and it says, "V'lo saki aretz eschem b'tama'achem osa," and the land will not vomit you out in your being mitameit. How would you like to? How would you like to be vomited out of somewhere? It doesn't sound very nice, right? I guess you're in some place and it just throws you up. What does that look like? And it says by avodah zarah, v'nasati es pigreichem v'gomer, and I will put your dead corpses, v'uchsev v'ashimoses miktashechem, I will destroy your Beis Hamikdash, okay? V'eschem azar bagayim, and I will scatter you among the nations. Bashmita v'yovlos ksev, and it says Bashmita and Yovel, as tirtze aretz l'chabsosea koimei hashama v'atem be'eretz oivechem v'gomer. Then the land will be able to enjoy its shmitas that it missed out on when you will be among the in exile. Uchsev koimei hashama tishbos. As long as the land is desolate, i.e. its inhabitants are in exile, so then it will be able to finally get some rest. Ba'ovon nivlos peh, in the sin of having a dirty mouth, tsaros rabos, uxeros, kashos, mischadshos, so then all sorts of bad things and bad decrees, mischadshos, so they become novel, uvachure yisone Yisrael mesim, and then sort of young Yidden are going to die. Yisomim v'almanos tzoakin, and you're going to have orphans and widows yelling out, ve'eno ne'enen, and they won't be answered. Shneimar, as the pasuk says, al kain Al bachurav lo yismach. Therefore, on his youngins, the Eibishter won't be happy when they have to die. Vesisoma vesamanosav, and then the orphans and the widows, lo yirachem, he won't be able to have mercy on them. Ki chalu chanef umeira, because they died from like all sorts of bad stuff. V'chopet dover nevala, and every mouth is speaking, disgusting stuff. They're having dirty mouths. B'chozos lo shav apo, and even with all this, his anger will not go away. Ve'od yadav netuya, and ve'od, and still his hand is outstretched to smite. My ve'od yado netuya. What does ve'od yado netuya? That still his hand is outstretched. So ve'od is like ve'ad in Ki'ilu, until 70 years. Meaning, if in the Gemara is about to make a drasha that if there was a gezerah for good, even for 70 years, it can just be flipped around for bad. So Amar Rav Chanan bar Rava, says Rav Chanan bar Rava, Kol Yodin Kala Lama Nichnasa L'Chuppah. No, everybody knows what the bride and groom are going to be doing the night of their wedding, but that doesn't mean that you have to talk about it. Elokal Menabel Piv, anybody who speaks sort of in a not nice way, in an unclean way, Afilu Chosmin Olav Gzardin Shel Shivim Shana L'Tova, even if there was a judgment, a 70-year verdict in his favor for good, Hofchan Olav L'Ra, we then make it a 70-year decree for bad. Amar Rabba Bar Shila, Amar Rav Chisda, Kol Menabil is Piv Mamikin Lo Gehenim. Anybody who speaks inappropriately, so then we make hell a little bit deeper for him. Shneimar Shoche Amuka Pi Zarus. Somebody who speaks sort of like zar, foreignly, inappropriately, so then it's a very deep pit. Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak Amar Af Shomea V'Shosek. Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak extends that to even somebody who listens and keeps quiet while his friend is being inappropriate. Shneimar Zeum Hashem Yipol Sham. That those who are the anger of God will fall there, and that seems to be referring to even people who are in the vicinity of this inappropriate speaker. Amar Rav Oshaya, says the holy Rav Oshaya, Kol Memarik Atzmo La'avera, anybody who empties himself out and makes himself available for doing sins, Chaburos Uvtzayin Yotzin Bo, so he gets all sorts of chaburot, like afflictions and wounds. Shneimar, as the pasuk says, Chaburos Petza Tamruk Bira, that somebody, did I pronounce that correctly? Yes, I did. Woohoo! So somebody who makes himself available for bad, so then he will get all sorts of wounds and bad gashes and stuff. V'lo, not only that, Elashanidon Badrokan, and if that wasn't bad enough, he's also going to get the Hadrokan disease, which is some kind of, like a intestinal disease, or like a skin disease, where like your whole body gets like really swollen and stuff. Shneimar Umakos Chadre Batan, and some kind of affliction of your stomach. I think maybe it starts with the stomach, then goes like to the rest of your body or something. That's Askra. Askra starts with your stomach. We're going to learn about Askra in a few minutes. Also, it's come up in Masechta Brachos, right? Right. We talked about in Masechta Brachos, we talked about the 903 types of deaths. The best one that you want is Neshika, where God just kind of sucks your soul out. And the worst kind of one is Askara. Anyways, so Makos Chadribaten, but I guess, I don't know, maybe it's some kind of like disease, Hadrokan, I don't know, maybe it starts in your stomach, but like spreads maybe. Amar Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak Siman Lavera Hadrokan. It's a sign that somebody has been naughty if he gets Hadrokan. Tana Rabbanan Gimumini Hadrokan Hein. There are 3 types of Hadrokan. Shalavera Ava. If the Hadrokan you get is for doing Averis, so then like your like flesh becomes like very, very thick and hard. Vishal Rav. And if it's because you are just malnourished, well then Tafuach. Then you're going to get your skin, your flesh gets like kind of swollen and watery looking. Okay. Like your skin becomes kind of see-through. Okay. Kshafim dak, if you're getting like witchcraft hadrokan, so then like, I don't know, your flesh becomes like very thin or something like that. Okay? Like very weak and thin and stuff. Alright. Shmuel Akatin Chashbe, Shmuel Katin was coming down with Hadrokan. Amar Ribayna Shalaylam. He said, Oy vey, master of the world, mi mapis, right? Who's gonna? So the way I understand this, so mapis is like a piece, like a payas, like a lot. I mean, Rashi kind of says that. The way I understand it is that basically, who's going to draw up the short stick to have to take the responsibility to go for me and announce to people that I don't have a drokan on the account of sins, that I have a drokan, I don't know, for some other reason, because people are going to assume that it's because of sins. It's say, well, the Eibishter listened to his prayer and he just got healed. Okay? Abayi chashbe, Abayi got this hadrokan. Amar Rava Yadaina be ben Nachmani. I know in Nachmani, right? Abayi was sometimes called Nachmani. I know about Nachmani, Timachvin Nafshe, that he's malnourished, he doesn't eat very much, and that's why he got hadrokan. It's not because he was sinning. Rava Chashbe, Rava was getting hadrokan. So now the Gemara wants to know, wait, that doesn't make sense. How could Rava get hadrokan? From the fact that he said that Abayi was getting hadrokan because he wasn't eating enough, so clearly he knew the dangers of not eating enough, so clearly he must have been eating enough. And Rashi then says, and if you're going to suggest that, well, maybe he's getting sick because of hadrokan, because of maybe he wasn't going to the bathroom when he needed to go to the bathroom, he was holding it in too long. Well, that there's more people who die from holding themselves back when they have to go to the bathroom than from people who die from hunger. So clearly he knew the dangers of also holding in when he has to go to the bathroom. So the Gemara says, no, really it was that he was holding it in when he had to go to the bathroom. But Shani Rava, the Ansile Rabban Beidne Bal Korche, he says, but he has no choice because the students, they're always asking him questions and he has to go to the bathroom and he's got no choice. But people who have choice should really go to the bathroom so that they don't get hadrokan. Tana Rabbanan. The rabbis taught, Dalmine Simonin Hein. There are 4 signs. Siman la Avera Hadrokan. The sign for that a person is doing sins is that he gets hadrokan. Siman la Sinas Chinam Yerakon. The sign for sinas chinam is that if you're just like hating people and stuff, so then you'll get this thing called yerakon. Yerakon, sorry. You'll get yerakon. You'll turn into a vegetable. No, I don't know. I don't know what yerakon is, but you'll get it. I don't know. Maybe like try hating people and see what happens to you, and that's what yerakon is, I guess. Siman legasas haruach, a sign for haughtiness, anius, is you'll become poor. Interesting. Siman lelashon hara. So does that mean like poor people are haughty, like that's why they're poor? I don't know. Similarly, lashon hara askara. The sign for that you're speaking not nicely about people is that you'll get askara, which is this really bad thing that kind of kills you. Starts in the stomach, goes to the throat, you die. Tanar banan askara ba leolam. Right? I think that we said askara was like if you take like wool and stick it in like a thorn tree and then you pull out the wool. That's kind of what it's like when you're like killing a person with askara. Okay. So. Tanar Rabbanan, the rabbis taught, Askara ba'ale olam al hamaiser, that Askara comes to the world because people aren't being careful when it comes to ma'aser. And since they are eating untithed food, therefore this Askara comes to their throat and kills them. Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Yossi Omer, says Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Yossi, al lashon hara. So Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Yossi says that Askara comes on account of lashon hara. Okay. Amar Rava Vitem Rabbi Shimon Levi, says Rava, some taka says Rabbi Shimon Levi, Mikra, where do we have a pasuk to teach that Askara comes from lashon hara? V'amelech yisamach or yismach, what was it? V'amelech yismach be'elokim, the king. So David HaMelech is talking about himself, that him, the king, should be happy from God. Yisal kol nishbabo. Anybody who swears in God's name should be happy with him. Ki Yisacher pi dovre shaker, because the mouths of those who are speaking lies about me, King David, to Shaul, will be quieted, will be stopped. But here you see a comparison with Yisachar, which is like Askara, dovre shaker, which is lashon hara. They wanted to know, Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Yossi al lashon hara kamer, or Dilma af al lashon hara nami kamer. So the Gemara wants to know. When Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Yossi says that Askara comes for lashon hara, is that to the exclusion of Meiser, or is it in addition to not being serious when it comes to Meiser? So Tashma, come in here. Now here we start segueing towards the Lag BaOmer Gemara. When the rabbis entered into the Bismedrash in Yavne, right? We had this at the very end of Masechta Brachos and Daf Samach Gimel Amud Beis. Not this Gemara, but this concept of when they came into they're going to, sort of this introductory content is very similar to Masechta Brachos. Hayasham Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Shimon, and there was over there Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Yossi. In the story in Masechta Brachos is Rabbi Eliezer Benosh Rabbi Yossi Aglili, and here it's Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Yossi. I mean, I assume that those are two separate people, but I also wonder if maybe things got lost in some kind of gears, or maybe simply it was just two different events, and the first one had Rabbi Eliezer Benosh Rabbi Yossi Aglili, and this is Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Yossi. I don't know. It's just interesting that they're very similar, but also different. Vir Shimon, and in this story there was Reb Shimon ben Yochai. Nishala Sheila Zo Bifneim, and this question was, and the following question was asked to these rabbis. Maka Zo Mipnei Ma Mascheles Bifnei Me'aim Vigomeres Bipeh. How come askara begins in the stomach and then makes its way towards the throat, towards the mouth? So Nana Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Lai Rosh Hamadabim B'chol Makom. So Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Lai answered first because he was the Rosh Hamadabim B'chol Makom. The Romans said that Rabbi Yehuda must always be the first to speak, and we are going to say this story. This is precisely the Lag BaOmer story, but because Rabbi Yehuda, right? Rabbi Yehuda the Tana, Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Lai, the Tana who used to bathe on Erev Shabbos and then sit there like a Malach Hashem Tzvakos and bring in Shabbos. So he was the Rosh Hamadabim B'chol Makom. He would always speak first. And he said, Afalpi Sheklayos Yoatzos, even though the kidneys give advice, V'leiv Mevin, and the heart understands, V'loshen Mechatech, and your tongue kind of actually pronounces and cuts the words that you speak, Peh Gomer. It is the mouth that actually finishes, I guess, to speak Lashon Hara. So that's why, I guess, if askara comes from Lashon Hara, so then that's why it makes its way all the way to the mouth. Then Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Yossi answered, V'amr pnei she'ochlin ba dvarim tamein, because you eat with your mouth tamei foods. Dvarim tameim sakadatech. What's wrong with eating tamei foods? You're not allowed to eat tamei foods. El she'ochlin ba dvarim she'enon mesukanim. No, it means that you're eating. It means that you're eating foods that have not been tithed, and they're tevel, and the punishment for that is misa bidei shamayim. Okay, so just to kind of bring out the relevance of that, so we see that Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Yossi is saying over here that you get askara because you're not taking meiser properly. So it would appear that when Rabbi Yossi says that you get askara for Lashon Hara, it would be in addition to getting askara for not taking meiser properly. Nana Reb Shimon ve'amar, Reb Shimon answered, and he said, Be'avon bittul Torah, it's on account of the sin of bittul Torah that people get askara. And we're going to, we're going to explore Reb Shimon's position as the Gemara continues, because Reb Shimon was pretty hardcore when it came to Torah and bittul Torah and all that stuff, as we're going to elaborate on later. Amrlo nashim yochichu. So they said to Reb Shimon, how could it be that askara comes for bittul Torah, but women contract askara, and women don't have a chiyuv to learn Torah, so you can't hold them accountable and give them askara if they don't have a chiyuv to study Torah. So yochichu. So he answers Shemavados as balein. But when they get askara, it's on account of if they're mevatel their husbands from learning Torah, well then they get askara themselves for being an accomplice. Nachum yochichu, but what about non-Jews? Gentiles also get askara. So they don't have a chiyuv to learn Torah. Shemavatel es Yisrael. Yeah, but they're mevatel Jews from learning Torah. Tinokos yochichu. What about babies? Babies can get askara and they don't have a chiyuv to learn. So shemavatel es avian. Well, they are causing their fathers not to be able to study Torah. Tinokos shel beis rabban yochichu. But what about children who study in cheder, right, who study in school? So they are studying themselves and they're not, bothering anybody else. So why do they get askara? So hasam kid Rabbi Gurion. So the reason why children can get askara is like Rabbi Gurion. The Amar Rabbi Gurion, v'itema Rav Yosef Reb Shmaya. Some say it's tak Rabbi Yosef Reb Shmaya. Bizman tzadikim bador nitpasim alador. So when there are righteous people in the generation, so then the righteous people sort of get killed to atone for the sins of the generation. Ein tzadikim bador. But if there are no tzaddikim in the generation, well then tinokos shel beis rabba nitpasim al hador. Well then these young, people get killed to atone for the sins of the generation, and that's why they get askara. Okay. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak bar Zeiri ve'amar la Amar Reb Shimon ben Nazira Maikra'ah. Where do we have a pasuk for this? Im lo seidi lach hayafa banashim tzilach big ve'atzon ve'gomer ve'amrinan gidayim amemushkanin alaroim. Okay, so they bring a pasuk to show that even these kids can sort of get killed on account of the sins of the generation, as it says described in Shir Hashirim. Im lo seidi lach hayafa banashim. The pasuk says, if you in Shir Hashirim, the man is saying to the woman, if you want to know where to find me, tzilach bik ve'atzon, go out towards the follow the footsteps of the sheep, and go with your goats. And they say there, gidayim amemushkanin alaroin. It's these goats that are like collateral for the shepherds. So here also it's like these kids, these children that are the collateral for the tzaddikim, that if they're not tzaddikim, then the kids will be killed on account of the sins of the generation. Shmamina af al lashon hara nami kamer shmamina. So we see that, so going back to sort of the initial question, and the beginning of the brisa where Rabbi Yossi said that askara happens in the mouth because people eat food that hasn't been properly tied. So we see that when Rabbi Yossi says that askara comes for lashon hara, it means also lashon hara, in addition to the fact that people aren't taking tithes properly. All right, now moving on to the very, very interesting story of Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, when he had to hide away in the cave, and just a very interesting story in general. How come Rabbi Yehuda is referred to as the first one to speak in every place? Well, what does that mean? So the Yasvei, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Shimon one time were sitting. Okay. V'Yosef Yehuda ben Gerim Gabayu, and Yehuda ben Gerim was sitting right next to them, was sitting with them. Pasach Rabbi Yehuda v'Amar. Now Rabbi Yehuda bar Ilai, Rabbi Yehuda the Tana, he said, Kamanoi maisein shel umazo. Wow, the actions of this nation, of the Romans, are really pretty awesome. This is a good nation. Tiknu shvakim, they've set up marketplaces. Tiknu gesharim, they built bridges. Tiknu mechatzos, bathhouses. Like says Rabbi Yehuda, I really have no complaints. I'm very appreciative of all these things that the Romans have done for us. Rabbi Yossi shasak, and Rabbi Yossi, no comment. Nena Rashbi v'amar, Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai answered, and he said, Kol mashe tiknu, lo tiknu elo l'tzorech atzman. All these things that they made for themselves. Tiknu shvakin lo shiv bain zonos. They made marketplaces so that they could have prostitutes there. Mechatzos la'adin bain atzman. They made bathhouses so that they can have a good spa in the area. Gisharim litomen meches. They built bridges not to help us, but so that they could collect tolls. So we see already back then, was it 2,000 years ago already? 1,500 years? No, around 2,000 years ago. They were already collecting tolls on bridges. Halach Yehuda ben Gerim v'sipar devarim v'nishmu l'malchus. So Yehuda ben Gerim went, and he didn't, tattletale on them to the king, but he was just not keeping it to himself. He was telling people about this interaction, about this conversation that he heard, and somehow the Roman sort of authorities heard about it. Amru, and then in response to this, they said, Yehuda she'ila yisalet. Yehuda, right, Rabbi Yehuda, that he praised us, so then he should get a promotion. He should get an honor, and they honored him with always being the first one to talk in any given situation. Yossi sheshasak yigalu tzipori. Yossi, who kind of pleaded the fifth, no comment, so he must be exiled to Tzipori. Shimon Shagina Yeharig. But Shimon, Rabbi Shimon, who disparaged us, who said that all we care about is ourselves, he must die. Ozal hu uvrei. So he and his son went. Tashu be'medrasha, and they hid away in the Beis HaMedrash. I guess their assumption being that the Romans would never assume to look for a rabbi in a Beis HaMedrash. Okay, makes sense. Kol yoma havamaisilu divisu rifta v'chuza demaya. And every single day, Reb Shimon's wife would bring for them a loaf of bread and a pitcher of water. V'karche, and they would eat. Ki takif gezerta. However, when the decree became more strong and the Romans were unable to find Reb Shimon, so they realized, okay, we need to step up our efforts. The Beis HaMedrash is no longer a good enough hideout. Amr Livrei said to his son, Nashim daitan kala alein duma mitzayreila umegayelan. Look, women, their da'as is easy upon them. Okay, the assumption being that if the Romans come and torture them, they then my wife, your mother, will give away our hiding spot. Okay, I assume that they did that to men also. They might give away the hiding spot. So they went and they hid in a cave. This sounds to me like a better hiding spot than a Beis HaMedrash. Okay. Israchash Nisa, and a miracle happened. Ivrelu charuva ve'ena demaya. And a carob tree and a stream of water was created for them. Vavu mishalche monayu, and they would take off their clothes. Vavu yasve ad savarayu bichala, and they would sit up to their necks in the sand, right? Because they didn't want their clothing to get worn out, so they would take off their clothing and then just sit in the sand. Koleyoma garse, and they would learn mamish all day. Be'idan tsaluye lafshu, and when it came time to daven, they would put on their clothes. Michsu, they would cover themselves. Umatzlu, and they would daven. V'hadu mishalchim anayu, and then they would take back off their clothes and go back in the sand. Kihechi dilo livlu, so that the clothing won't get worn out. Isvu tresar shnei v'ma'arta, and they stayed in that cave for 12 years, and they were just mamish learning all day. Is that maybe I think maybe that's when they wrote the Zohar, right? According to tradition. Also Eliyahu, so now after 12 years, Eliyahu Hanavi came, Vikama pischa de ma'arta, and he, stood by the entrance to this cave. Omar, and he kind of said out loud, obviously so that Rabbi Shimon would hear, Man lodai levar Yochai, who's going to tell Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, demis Caesar, that the Caesar died, uvato gzerte, and the gezerah is gone, and that it's safe to come out. So Rabbi Shimon got the hint that it's safe to come out. Nafku, so Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Elazar, his son, came out. Chazu inshe dika karche v'zare. And they saw people who were plowing and seeding their field. Omar, and Rabbi Shimon said, what the heck has gone on in the past 12 years? Manichen chai olam v'osken b'chai shah. What, these people are just putting aside chai olam, eternal life of studying Torah, and they're dealing with sort of just momentary needs like making food and plowing their field. And as Rashi points out, v'osken b'chai shah, that they're dealing with in the Dibur Maskeh v'osken b'chai shah, that they're dealing with momentary needs. De'efshar yidei nachrim. This work can be done by non-Jews. And God, distributes food and other things that are needed for those who do His will. Now, this is very reminiscent of the machlokas in Brachos and Daf Lamed Hey Amud Beis about just this, between Reb Shimon and Rabbi Yishmael. Reb Shimon says exactly this, that all you should be doing is studying Torah and God will take care of all of your needs. Rabbi Yishmael says, no, sure, you have to study Torah, but you also have to work. And it says that many people did like Rabbi Yishmael and it worked out for them. Many people did like Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai and it didn't work out for them. So the point being that, while this is not the only opinion. There is that machlokas, Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Ishmael. While this is the mahalach of Rabbi Shimon, and it could work maybe for certain people, but this is not the only perspective. But anyways, so Amar manichin chay olam v'oskim b'chay isha kol makom shenosnin einein, and then every place where Reb Shimon would look, miyad nisraf, would immediately be burnt. Oh my gosh. Yatzta basko v'amra lahem. So now a voice came out of heaven and said to them, La'achar v'olami yatzasem chizru l'maraschem. Did you guys come out of the cave in order to destroy my world and just light everything on fire because it's not as holy as you would like? Get back into your cave. Right? It's like almost like God is like sending them to time out. Like, come out when you're ready to not destroy my world. Okay. So Hadr Azul. So they went back to the cave. Okay. They listened to God. Ezvu Tresar Yarche Shata. And they waited for 12 months. Amr, they said, Mishpat Rishon Begehedim Yud Beis Chodesh. Said, look, well, the punishment of evildoers is to go to hell for 12 months. So I guess, okay, if God wants us to go to time out, He didn't tell us exactly how long to go for, but 12 months is probably what He meant. Okay. So Yatzisa Basko V'Amr Tzumi Maraschem. And then after 12 months, a voice came out of heaven and said, okay, you can come out now. I hope you've learned your lesson. So Nafku. So they came out. And whatever Rabbi Lazar would destroy, Reb Shimon would heal, would fix. I guess maybe like Reb Shimon was older and he was able, had more control maybe over what he would burn with his eyes and what he wouldn't, where Rabbi Lazar maybe didn't have as much control. So whatever Rabbi Lazar would kind of destroy, Reb Shimon would fix. Amar lo bini, Reb Shimon said to Rabbi Lazar, my son, Dai la'olam ani va'ata. You know what? I think it's enough in this world, just me and you. Now it was Friday afternoon. They saw a certain elder. Now, Ha'u Sava is assumed often to be Eliyahu Hanavi. So they saw Eliyahu Hanavi, and he was running, Ben Hashmashos on Erev Shabbos, and he was holding 2 bundles of Hadassim. Amrule, they said to him, Hane Lamalach, what's pshat? How come you're running with 2 bundles of Hadassim? Amrule, he said to them, L'chvod Shabbos, for Shabbos. I have 2 bundles of Hadassim so I could smell them on Shabbos and have Oneg Shabbos. B'tizkelach b'chad. He said, yeah, but why do you need 2 bundles? Wouldn't 1 bundle be enough? Chad k'neged zachar v'chad k'neged shamar. And this, Ha'u Sava responded, 1 bundle is k'neged zachar es Yom HaShabbos l'kadsho, and the other bundle is k'neged shamar es Yom HaShabbos l'kadsho. Amr le livrei, and Shimon ben Yochai said to his son, Chazik ha'machaviven mitzvahs ha'Yisrael. Wow. See how beloved the mitzvahs are to the Yidden. Yosef da'itayu, and then he felt much better about the world and everything, and the Yidden. Shamar Rab Pinchas ben Yair, so it says here Chasane, but there's a note that says it's Chosane, his father-in-law, which I think makes sense in the context, and apparently it was just the fact of the matter that Rab Pinchas ben Yair was his father-in-law. Now, if I remember correctly, Rab Pinchas ben Yair is also like one of those like Rab Chanina ben Dosa characters. There are like some very interesting stories about Rab Pinchas ben Yair, I think. Anyways, so Rab Pinchas ben Yair heard that Rab Shimon is around. So v'nafak la'ape, and he went out to greet Rab Shimon. Ayle leveibane, and he took Rab Shimon to the bathhouse, right? I guess he hasn't had like a proper bath, even though there was that stream there, but I guess he didn't really have a proper bath in 12 years, or 13 years really. Havaka arichle levisre, and Rab Pinchas ben Yair was scrubbing Rab Shimon's flesh. Chazidava be pile begufe, and he saw that Rab Shimon had lots of cracks in his skin, in his flesh, because of sitting in the sand all the time. Havaka bachi, and Rab Pinchas ben Yair was crying, v'kan nasru dimas eine, and the tears from his eyes were falling on Reb Shimon. Now the Safari actually said that like it was paining Reb Shimon, but Rashi seems to say, oh no, yeah, that actually is exactly what it means. It was paining Reb Shimon. Okay, got it. Okay. Amarle oili sherisicha b'chach, and then Pinchas ben Yair said to Reb Shimon, wow, woe is to me that I have to see you in such a state with your flesh all cracked. Amarle ashrecha sherisani b'chach, to which Reb Shimon responded, no, it's amazing that you can see me like this. What a great thing that you can see me with my body all cracked from sitting in sand while studying Torah for 12 years. Because if you wouldn't be seeing me with my skin and my body all cracked, well then you wouldn't find me like you find me now. What does that mean? That initially, right, Reb Pinchas ben Yair was a much bigger Talmud Chacham than Reb Shimon ben Yochai. Reb Shimon would ask a question, Reb Pinchas ben Yair would give him 12 answers. The Sof, but now, after the 13 years studying Torah straight in the cave, Ki hava makshe Reb Pinchas ben Yair kushya, hava mefark le Reb Shimon ben Yochai esin v'arba peruke. Right? When Reb Pinchas ben Yair would ask a question, it was Reb Shimon ben Yochai who was answering him, and not just 12 answers, but 24 answers. So Reb Shimon was saying, no, it's actually quite a good thing that you see me with my skin all cracked, because it's on account of these cracks. It's on account of, the 13 years that I did nothing else but study Torah, that I was able to accomplish what I did with learning. Omar, then Reb Shimon said, Hol v'israchish nisa, since a miracle happened, ezel asaken milsa. I want to go and I want to fix something. Dichsev, as it says by Yaakov Avinu, Vayavo Yaakov Shalem, that it says that Yaakov came whole to the city of Shechem. V'amarav Shalem b'gufo, Shalem b'mamono, Shalem b'soraso. That even after the entire encounter with Esav, he nonetheless remained whole, complete in his body. Right? He was healed from the encounter with the angel who hurt his leg. He was complete with his money. That he didn't have to lose any money to Esav, and also complete in his Torah. They didn't forget any of his Torah. Vayichan es pnei ha'ir, and he encamped by the city of Shechem. Amarav matbea tikin laim. So Rav says that Yaakov Avinu actually set up currency for the city of Shechem. Ushmuel Amar shvakim tikin laim. Shmuel says he set up marketplaces for Shechem. Rabbi Yochanan Amar mechatzaos tikin laim. Rabbi Yochanan says that he set up bathhouses for them. Which is interesting that two of the three are similar to the same things that the Romans did in Eretz Yisrael, right? The only difference being the bridges. So therefore, Reb Shimon says, look, and there's also Reb Shimon Davka, right? So Reb Shimon is Davka invoking the fact that Yaakov established these things, and these were the exact same things that he was disparaging the Romans for building for them. In any event, maybe there's something to say about that. Like, Yaakov maybe did it in one way, and the Romans did it with a different intention. Whatever it is, like, the good side and the bad side. I don't know. Shmuley Perkel. Maybe you have any thoughts on this? Anyways, so therefore, Reb Shimon said if Yaakov fixed up things when he had a miracle done for him, or good things done for him, so therefore I want to fix something, after my whole experience. So Reb Shimon said, Ika milsu debai sakune. So I guess he asked Reb Pinchas ben Yair, is there anything that I can fix around here? Amrule, they said to him, Ika duchta de izbe safek tuma. There's a place, Lemaisa, that we're not sure if there's a dead body buried there. V'islu tzar lekohanim la'akufe. And it's a very inconvenient place, because it's right in the middle of the city, and the Kohanim, who have to be concerned about Tahara, I don't know why, it was after the Beis HaMikdash, but they have to be concerned about Tahara. They have to go all the way around, completely out of the way, because they can't pass through the middle of the city where there's this Safek Tumah. Amr, he said, Ika inish diyada de ischazaka chatayra. So Reb Shimon says, is there anybody around here who can attest to the fact that at one point this place was completely tahor? Amr la usava. So there was a certain elder over there. I guess again it was Eliyahu Navi. I don't know. Kan kitzetz ben Zakai turmasei truma. He said, over here, Ben Zakai harvested or uprooted turmisen, these beans of truma. And Rashi points out that Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was a Kohen. That's awesome. I didn't know that. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was a Kohen. Very cool. So this elder said that here Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai would basically harvest these beans of truma. So clearly it was tahor if Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was dealing with truma there. So Avad Iu Nami Achi. So Rabbi Shimon said, very cool. Okay, and he did the same exact thing. Rashi says that he basically planted also these and uprooted these same beans, and then he kind of threw them on the floor, and wherever there was a mace, it would kind of come to the top. It would kind of float upwards. And then they was able to tell that kol heichad avakashi tare, any place where the ground was hard and there was no mace over there, so then he said, okay, here you can walk, here it's tahor. Kol heichad rafe, and wherever the ground was soft, because there was a mace over there, so then tziyane, he made a mark there and said, okay, Kohanim, don't walk there. And he solved that for them. Now the Kohanim were able to walk through this area because they knew exactly where they could walk and where they can't. Amar Usava Tira Yochanan ben Yochai Tira ben Yochai Beisakvaros. And then this elder, I don't know, who may or may not have been Eliyahu Navi, I don't know, but this elder was then starting to say, who is this guy who rolls into town and then all of a sudden he's starting to change things, right? This place that was a cemetery, he's saying is tahor and Kohanim can walk there. Who does he think he is? Amarle, at which point Reb Shimon said, Ilmali ayise imanu, afilu ayise imanu, v'lo nimne simanu, yafa ata omer. He says, look, if you weren't with us, I don't know, I guess maybe ilmale lo ayise imanu, but the lo is in parentheses. We usually don't read the parentheses, but I think it really makes sense if you read it with it. But the point is, if you weren't with us at the time that we had to make this judgment, or even if you were with us and you kept quiet, well then, so then now you would have the right, you have the right to your opinion. But yafe ata omer. But but the fact that you're here with us right now, right, and you're disagreeing with us, and making a whole stink and saying, who does this guy think he is? And kind of like being upset about what's happening. Well, then Yomer, they're going to say, Zonos mifarkisos zoazo, right? Prostitutes put makeup on each other, and even though they're in competition with each other, they are nonetheless helping each other out. Shouldn't Torah scholars certainly be helping each other out? Why are you, disgracing me and almost like speaking lashon hara about me and trying to put me down? So Yoav be'ene v'noch nafshe. And then Rabbi Shimon gave him one good stare, and this elder died. All right. Nafak l'shuka chazia Yehuda ben Gerim, and then Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai went out to the marketplace, and guess who he saw? Yehuda ben Gerim, the guy who caused him to have to go hide for 13 years. Amar, Rabbi Shimon said, Adayin yesh lazeh ba'olam? There is still this in the world, referring to Yehuda ben Gerim. Nasam bo einav v'asahu gal shel atzamos. So then Rabbi Shimon looked at him, and he became a pile of bones. Wow, Shimon was very dangerous these days. Okay, that is the story of Reb Shimon hiding in the cave for 13 years. All right, very cool. And that, my friends, was Daf Lag of Masechta Shabbis. I'm not sure what this has to do with Lag BaOmer. I don't know. But it's like the classic Lag BaOmer story. Okay. What did we learn today? Recap. Pretty quick recap. I mean, we just did more saying of like why all these things are happening. I don't know. You do this, then this bad thing happens, and that bad thing happens. Okay. Long list of those. And then the story of Lag BaOmer with Reb Shimon, and also Rabbi Yehuda, the Rosh Medabrim B'chol Makom, right? Why he was the first to speak, I guess after a certain point in his life, at least, after this story. Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, when he went and studied for 13 years. Very, very interesting. This seems to be a very significant story. I wonder, when Rabbi Shimon comes up in Mishnayos and stuff like that, is it like pre 13 years of study or post 13 years of study? Is there a difference in his teachings? I don't know. It's very interesting. All right, friends. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's daf, and I hope you'll enjoy tomorrow's daf. Looking forward. Peace.